go over the things that you need to know to start doing homework. This is gonna be old school. I'm just gonna write stuff on the board, and you can start, because we're not gonna be here Tuesday because of faculty staff wasted day and penalty. So, first of all, let's go over f of x. F of x is equal to 3x squared minus 6x plus 7. Find f prime of x. This is using the sum and difference. I'll put the difference over, well, actually you've got sum right here, and you've got difference right here. So that means we're doing sum and difference. Sum and difference is the same thing. You just use the power rule with each term. So 2 minus 1. So that's going to be 6x to the first minus 6x to the 0 plus 0x to the negative 1. Now I'm doing everything long and drawn out because I want you to see that if you get confused, always go back to the power rule and put your powers, even if it's not there, you have x to the 0, and you can always figure it out. And this is 6x minus 6. Okay, so that's the sum and difference rule. So now you've got the power rule, got that down, and the sum and difference rule. And there's really not anything to do with the sum and difference rule except use the power rule. The sum and difference rule tells you to use the power rule. So I'm not really worried about you being able to do the sum and difference rule. Because if you can do the power rule, you can do the sum and difference rule. But the next three are very important. And let's do 2x, f of x is equal to 2x squared times x minus 3. Now we're going into what we call the product rule. Now, do y'all remember when you learned the exponential rules? Do y'all remember learning exponential rules? You add and subtract the exponents. And sometimes you could do a problem with the product rule and you get the same answer if you did it with the quotient rule. Okay? Same thing here. I could use algebra and I could distribute this and I get 2x to the third minus what? 6x what? Squared. I could use algebra and then use my power rule. I don't have to use the product rule. So that's going to be 3 times 2 is 6. X squared minus 2 times 6 is 12x to the first. Everybody with me? Here I used algebra first, and then I used the power rule. I didn't even use the product rule. And that's okay, but you're not going to be able to do that all the time. So let's erase that and let's use the power rule, because how do you know to use the power rule, Hubert? Well, you've got multiplication involved. Okay, and let's take a handy dandy blue marker, and it's right there. Product rule is used when you have multiplication in the mix. When you have multiplication, that's when, that's when you got to worry about the product rule. So the product rule says, first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. So I'm going to write first times the derivative of the second. I'll do that in green. Plus the second times the derivative of the first. I'm just putting that little prime there so you'll know that I got to take the derivative. So 2x squared, and I'm going to take my blue marker and I'm going to take the derivative of this. This is the sum and difference rule. This is x to the first, and this is x to the what? 0. So that's going to give me, and I'm going to draw it out because some of y'all I know did not invent calculus, so I'm going to draw it out so you can always go back to the variables and the exponents if you get confused. 1 times 1 is 1, x to the 1 minus 1, minus 0 times 3, x to the 0 minus 1, plus x minus 3 times, using the power rule, and I'm doing that in blue, it's going to be 4x to the 2 minus 1. And now I'm going to rewrite everything. And that's going to be 2x squared. And this goes out. And that leaves you with x times x plus 4x times x minus 3. And what is 2x times x to the first?
2x cubed.
2x cubed plus 4x squared minus what? 12x. And that should be what we got a while ago. I don't know if it is or not.
Yeah. We've got 6x squared minus 12x first.
Okay, I must have an error in there somewhere. Oh, this is 1. X to the 0 is 1. I'm sorry. That should be x to the 0, which is 1. Now do we get the same answer? And what's 2x squared plus 4x squared? 6x squared minus 12x. Is that what we got?
Yeah.
Now, the first thing the LADers are going to say, oh, that's a lot of work. Okay? I put in extra steps. You don't have to do that. You can do 2x squared times 1 plus x minus 3 times 4x. You can do that first step. But you got to get to that point. And you decide if you're at that point. I don't know. I don't know if you have to write everything. Okay? The whole point is you got to find what your niche is. The more problems you do, the quicker it's going to come to you. Let's try another. And I'm just going to clear this. Go to the next. F of x is equal to 1/2 x squared times 2x minus 6. All right, try that. Now, can you do it both ways? Sure, do it both ways. That's extra practice. Some of the LADers won't do that, but go ahead and distribute that 1/2 x squared. See what you get. That's a way for you to check it.
Priority 1 message coming in on secured channel.
I'll let you do it both ways.
It's over. Oh.
Okay, so you can distribute that 1/2 x squared, and when you distribute it, you're going to get, well, you're going to get 1/2 x squared times 2x minus 1/2 x squared times 6. And 2 cancels with that, and what's x squared times x? X cubed. And then half of 6 is 3x squared, and now take the derivative. 3x squared minus what? Okay, write that down. That's the answer, we hope, if I hadn't made a mistake. Now I'm going to go back and erase this, and we're going to do the product rule. Why are we doing the product rule? Because there is a multiplication symbol between the two. Now, I keep saying that because you got to look for it. You're not going to know unless you say, okay, are we adding or subtracting, or are we multiplying? You got to ask yourself that. First, times the derivative of the second. Plus the second. Times the derivative of the first. All right, now I'm not going to put all those steps in there that I put in before. So I'm going to do 1/2 x squared. And I'm going to do green, showing you I'm taking the derivative. 2 plus 2x minus 6. 2 times 1/2 is 1x. So see, I cut out a step right there. And some of you that have had calculus before and know how to do the derivative, you may be able to get to that step in the first step. That's fine. But if you can't make a sandwich with derivatives right now, then you need to do it step by step. All right, so let's go on, and that's going to give us, what's 1/2 times 2? So that's going to be x squared plus what? Well, x times 2x is what? 2x squared minus 6x. And I got 3x squared minus 6x. Is that what we got a while ago? Yep. So on the product rule, what I would suggest you do is either use the algebra to check it, or the algebra do it and check with the product rule. I'm sorry, I said the power rule, the product rule. That's how you use the product rule, which usually is not that bad. Now let's do the quotient rule. And I plan to spend Thursday on this also. Okay, so I'm not just trying to, what I'm trying to do, you've got several days that you're not going to be doing anything. I've got to get you at least through 1.5 and 1.6, which is mostly what I'm doing right now. So you can be working on it and sending me questions. All right, so let's do the quotient rule. The quotient rule says if I'm dividing something, f of x is equal to x squared plus 3x minus 2 divided by x. Now, you could do this by algebra, and then you'd have a mess. You could do it by algebra. Here's how you do it by algebra. That's going to be f of x is equal to x plus 3 minus 2 over what? X. F of x is equal to x plus 3 minus 2x to the what? -1. And then that's going to be f prime of x is equal to 1 plus 0 minus be plus 2x to the -2. And f prime of x is equal to 1 plus 2 over x what? Now everybody, there's nothing there new. Everybody should know what I did there. If you know what I did step by step, then you're good with 1.2, 1.3, and 1.4. All right? If you're going, what did he do there? Then you need to go back and do some more homework because you're not there yet. Because all I did I did algebra, and then I took the power rule and did each one. This is 1, x to the 1. This is x to the what? 0. And there's 2x to the -1. And you just do the power rule with each one. Now that's how you do it with algebra. So now I'm going to do it with the quotient rule. The quotient rule says denominator times numerator prime minus numerator times the denominator prime all over the denominator squared. And I'm going to change that accent mark, that prime, I'm going to change it to red. So you'll know that's not a 1, that's an accent mark. So you're taking the numerator prime and denominator prime. So I'm going to leave the answer right here. I'm just going to erase. You might have to write a little bit smaller. Okay, we're good. I want to get changed. Okay, so here we go. Denominator times the numerator prime, I'll put that in blue, x squared plus 3x minus 2 prime. Now I'm going to put that in brackets. Why you got to put it in brackets? Well, what comes next? That negative. Does that negative make, does that negative cause problems? Yes, it does. Times the numerator, which is x squared plus 3x minus 2, times the numerator prime, or denominator prime, which is x prime. Now some of you, remember me telling you in 109 that people that flunk calculus can't do algebra? What are y'all starting to see that we're going to be doing in the next couple of steps? A lot of algebra. That's why people suck at calculus, because they can't do algebra. All over denominator prime, or denominator squared. All right, now I want you to do the blue parts, which is pretty simple. You just do the power rule with each one. X squared. I'll put a 1 here, and I'll put a x to the 0 here, and I'll do a 1 here and a 1 here, and then all you got left is algebra. So go ahead and do that. The quotient rule is the one that I will test you on, and you'll get frustrated with it, and you'll quit doing the problem, because it's got so much algebra in it.
You think we'll just quit like that?
I know you would. You find ways not to come to class, Jake. Oh, Noah's Ark hit Pickens Courthouse. I used to cruise Pickens. That was a thing back in my day. You had to go up to Pickens to cruise on Saturday and Sunday night.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, nothing but 4x4s and old raggedy trucks.
Going down Main Street, right?
Yep. Turn down there to McDonald's. You go down the hill, turn around, and come back. Go down there. I don't know if that car wash is still down on the other end. There used to be a self-car wash down there on the other end. On the non-McDonald's end.
That's long gone.
Has it been long gone?
Yeah.
That's where we turned around down there.
Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, I did. I had to. That's driving me crazy.
Looks good.
Thank you. When you have perfect hair, it's kind of hard to not. Anyway.
She's just trying to get brownie points.
Yeah, that's what she's trying to do. You don't know how to do that, do you, Jake? You're supposed to write out a check, man. Pendleton, settle down.
Nothing.
Pendleton hates me. They do. I think they write each other messages and say, I hate this teacher.
Got a shared Google Doc.
Say again, what?
We've got a shared Google Doc that we type back and forth to each other.
I figured. That's why y'all are going to end up in a closet in your office, in the office area. Where's that guy? He started last year. He's down there at the corner office down there. Nobody goes. That's where those people that don't communicate go.
Well, how'd your meeting go today? Was there a bunch of communication?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people being very open, very constructive, and one person fussing all the time.
Fussing at you?
No, they were just fussing because the world doesn't spin right and the sun isn't where it's supposed to be, and you know.
That's my kind of person.
Oh well. You have those in meetings. Okay, here we go. It shouldn't take you that long to do the derivative. X, and we're going to do green here because I'm such an exceptional teacher. 2x plus 3 minus brackets x squared plus 3x minus 2 times green. I'll do this one for you. 1. You're welcome. Over x squared. Now, the whole problem is nothing but algebra. So, distribute the x. That's going to be 2x squared plus 3x. 1, so I'm going to distribute that 1. Doesn't do anything, but if it did, it would be right here, and you would distribute that -1 out in front. Is this a good habit to get into? Yes. Whenever you have a number right here, go ahead and yank it out and put it with that negative so you don't forget that that negative changes the sign of everything. So that's going to be -x squared minus 3x plus what? 2 over x squared. And some of y'all can see that it's already going to be cancel out time for some things, or combining like terms. 2x squared minus x squared is
X
what?
squared.
X squared. 3x minus 3x plus 2 over x squared. And that's going to be equal to 1 plus 2 over, it's a miracle. So we're going to take our handy dandy highlighter here, and we're going to highlight all the algebra. There's all the algebra. And here, and we'll do this in green, this is your calculus. And you can see the calculus you can do pretty much in your head. I mean, first times the denominator times numerator prime minus numerator times denominator prime over the denominator squared. So you don't, and you're going to see this later on with the more challenging problems. You're going to be doing 80 to 90% algebra and only 10 to 20% calculus. That's why I spent so long on the review, and it was so important that you knew the review. That's why on 109 last semester, I really made sure y'all knew how to use shortcuts and completing the square and factoring and all that good stuff. Now let's try nerd. This time we're going to change the, and I want you to do this one strictly by quotient rule. F of x is equal to 4x to the third minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 over 2x squared. All right, y'all do that. I'll go ahead and set it up for y'all, for anybody that's stuck. F prime of x is equal to denominator times numerator prime minus the denominator times numerator prime minus numerator times numerator prime all over denominator squared. Four x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x to the first minus 2x to the 0. And 2x squared. Okay, so that should be your quotient rule set up. Now you go through and take the derivatives and then multiply. And yes, you could distribute. I don't know why you would want to do all that work, but you could distribute then take the derivative, but I wouldn't do that. Or you could just quit. Here's my alarm. I got 10 minutes. No coughing in class.
Sorry.
Jake, are you still ciphering? You awful quiet.
Yeah, I'm still going at it. Because, hey, I won't quit.
You're an inspiration, Jake.
I try.
Pendleton, how are y'all coming?
Swell.
I see you wearing that pink shirt again.
Yeah. I told you before, man. I don't have any insecurities.
Fair enough.
That's why I don't have smokestacks on my pickup truck.
I think you're getting ready for Valentine's Day. Wearing that pink.
No, that's one thing I don't have to worry about anymore, and it's so nice not having to worry about it. Valentine's Day is the holiday of games and mind games. That's why I don't miss it at all. Oh, you don't have to get me anything. Why in the hell didn't you buy me something? Yeah. Guys, if a woman says, oh, you don't have to get anything, let's just be together. Oh, no, hell, that ain't right. Don't do it. Don't fall for that crap. What? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
All I asked for was a nerd's rope. That's it. Nerd's rope.
What's that rope?
It's like a piece of candy this long.
Oh, yeah.
$1.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. I thought you were talking about something else. I know what you're talking about.
Hey,
Jake, what you gonna get
Marley,
your girlfriend for Christmas? I mean, for Valentine's Day.
I got her this little star map thing. It shows the constellations like the day we met.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Then I made a Build-A-Bear and it says I love you in my voice.
Good job.
How much expendable?
Good
Thank
job,
you.
I
Fred.
should have went made one together.
Just make sure you don't get married. How old are you, Jake?
22.
Okay, you get married probably in another 10, 15 years, you'll be all right.
Yes. But my favorite, I took her to Saskatoon's and I was fired up.
Yeah. More power to you, buddy.
You don't like Saskatoon's?
I don't like anything.
I love it.
My favorite restaurant is Outback. Okay, I know that sounds
Yes.
boring to some of y'all, but the only thing I ever eat is prime rib. And so far, the only place that I can see, now there's a place down in Atlanta called McKittrick's, and it was pretty good. But they're the ones that still have the bone in, and you have this bone sticking out, you know. That was a good place. That was the best. But so far, I haven't had any place beat prime rib at Outback. It's just good stuff. So, Texas Longhorn does a good job, but and I don't believe that I have to go to a certain restaurant to impress people. So I either go to Texas Longhorn or I go to Outback. I don't believe in going to restaurants and spending 3 times as much money just when you want somebody to see you there spending at that certain restaurant. I don't believe in that.
Are you a
Now,
cookout
prime
fan?
of X. What?
Are you a cookout fan?
No. Oh, do I cook out at home?
No, like the place to cook out.
No.
Yeah.
I do mostly all my cooking at home, and I do a lot of cooking out on the barbecue and stuff. I do a lot of that.
What's your go-to Mexican restaurant?
El Herrero, right here near the house. The place that I took that small class and paid for their meal, not their drinks, but their meal, and one person called my boss and said I forced them to go eat with me.
When are you going to force us to go eat with you?
Hell no, I'm not doing it no more.
For real.
That's why I don't bring cupcakes anymore or biscuits. Where are you going to get them from? Will you just get them from this place? No, you go to hell. It's free. You don't turn down free, dumbass. All right. I'm sorry. There's some people, they're just, buy 30-something biscuits for a class or cupcakes or donuts or whatever, and the first thing they say, where are you going to get them? It's called a place called Free. Shut your mouth. That's what I tell them. So I quit doing that. But I guarantee you, Jake, if I took my classes out on the last day, somebody would say, oh, I don't want to go there. That's exactly what would come out. All right, so here we go. There we go. So what's 12x squared minus 4x plus 3 minus what? 0. Okay, that's x to the 0. This is x to the 1. There we go. And put that in brackets. Now it's very important that you keep the brackets, because if you don't keep the brackets, you're going to mess up the second part. No matter if you invented it or not. So 4x.
Shouldn't that first 2x right?
It probably does. I just didn't write it. Thank you. Oops. Yeah. Is it? Oh, it's inside. Oh. Thank you. Square there. All right. 4x cubed minus 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 times, and what's the derivative of 2x squared?
4x.
4x. Now I'm going to put that 4x right there, because I'm going to distribute that negative 4x right there. Okay? And that's a habit that I tell my students to get into so you don't mess it up. And all of it's over 4x to the 4th. I know that 4x to the 4th. I'm not worried about that 4x to the 4th. All right, so here we go. 2x squared. I forgot. That'd be 24. Sorry. 24x to the 4th minus 8x to the 3rd plus 6x squared, and that goes out, minus 16x to the fourth, plus 8x to the third, minus 12x squared, plus 8x. Y'all check me, please.
You're right.
Over
Good.
4x to the fourth, and then of course the 24x to the fourth minus 16x to the fourth is 8x to the fourth. And let's mark them out. Negative 8x to the third cancels. 6x squared minus 12x squared is minus 6x squared and plus 8x over 4x to the fourth. We can factor out a 4x over 4x, and that's going to leave us with 2x to the third. Somebody check me. 2x to the third, not 4x, 2x. Well, y'all can finish it. Y'all can factor out the 2x, and that whatever answer that is, let's say 2x, okay, 2x, and that's going to leave us with 4x to the third minus 3x plus 4, y'all check me, over 2x to the what? Third? That should be your final answer. Y'all check my algebra. Got one more thing to show you before you leave. I know some of y'all are convulsing already, but you'll be all right. Here's the chain rule. Now, the first thing with the chain rule is you might have to rewrite first. Okay? Sometimes when you see a radical or a negative exponent, the first thing you need to do is rewrite. So I need to throw that in there. And then the second thing is to do the power rule. And then do the derivative of what's inside. Now you're going to hear that no matter what calculus you're in. What's inside? And what's inside is usually in the parentheses. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. First one, f of x is equal to 2 times x minus 3, or let's go with x squared. No, better not. Let's go with the negative second power. Now, how do I know this is the chain rule? Well, one, you have multiplication right here, and two, you got parentheses into an exponent. Now, you could do the product rule, but you don't know the chain rule, so you can't do the x minus 3 to the negative 2 power. So, but after you know the chain rule, you could. Here's what you do. There's the power rule. So that's going to be what? Negative 4 x minus 3 to the negative 3 power, and then I have to take the derivative of what's inside the red parentheses. What's inside the red parentheses? X. And what's the derivative of x? 1. And now I take that 1. This is not always going to be 1. Sometimes it may be a 2x. Sometimes it may be an x to the 5th power. You don't know what it is. And then you take whatever's there, you multiply it by that, and that gives you the answer of negative 4 x minus 3 to the negative 3rd power. I'm going to do one more example for you. Here's another example. f of x is equal to the square root of x squared minus 2. This is a radical. The first thing you do with a radical is you rewrite it. X squared minus 2 raised to the what? 1/2 power. Now you're back to the chain rule. This is a 1 out front. It's not a 0, because if it was a 0, it'd cancel the whole thing out. So 1/2 times 1 times x squared minus 2, 1/2 minus 2/2 is what? Negative 1/2. And then what's the derivative of the parentheses? What is the derivative of x squared? 2x. And now you take that 2x, multiply it by 1/2, and you get x. And your final answer, write this down because you're going to have to work with it to get it if you don't know what I'm doing. It's going to be x over the square root of x squared minus 2. And you can rationalize the denominator, but we're going to stop right there. So, the reason I covered so much material in 1 hour is because I don't want you to master it. I want you to go home and work on 1.5, 1.6, and 1.7. You should be able to have a seat. I'm not finished yet. Have a seat. And make sure you're able to work on all three and start sending questions. Okay? Now, I need to call the roll today because I need to call the roll at least once a week. Did I call the roll last time?
Nope.
No.
Okay, then I need to call it today. What time is it before Jake explodes? Okay, y'all go ahead. I'll just say everybody's here today. Make sure you X out. I don't want Jake to explode.
I wasn't trying to be rude, but I got a test next class.
Oh, get out of here. You priorities. You just failed the test. See y'all. Have a good weekend. See y'all Thursday.